you everybody for coming. If you don't know who I am Gumby. Literally, my mom introduces herself as Gumby's mother these days, so like the confusion I've gotten when you see the emails, my actual name is Alan Marcus, but I am the current San Jose Downtown Association president. Thank you very much for coming. We're here live, both in person. If you're streaming, we do have a live audience here with us. So we're hybrid right now. Thank you everybody for coming. Okay. I will tell you though, if you're live streaming right now, you're totally missing out because Frank Wynn from Academic was kind enough to bring the delicious coffee from Academic Coffee. He's also the representative of Stan's Donuts. So So a little bit of a danger zone up there, but you know, more for me as far as I'm concerned. I also want to thank our board sponsor for this meeting, Matt Latucci, from J. Paul Company. So thanks much for those. We're also very fortunate to have a great venue partner in the Tabard Theater here, and I hope that those of you that are here or online are supporting our art, supporting our theaters, especially coming out of the pandemic or wherever we're at this point. The support for the arts, the support for our small venues is so important. Okay, I just want to give you a chance, or I'm going to introduce Stephanie Wiggum, marketing director for the Tabard Theater, if she wants to come up and give us a couple of words about this great venue. Stephanie?
Yeah. Sorry, I'm doing lots of things. Hello. Oh, this is a very hot mic. Hello. Welcome to the Tabard Theater. How many of you, is this the first time you've been in our room? Where have you been? We are tired of being San Jose's best kept secret. Yeah, so you can see this is a wonderful room. We're so glad to have you here. We're so glad to have the San Jose Downtown Association here. Super quick plug, we have The Odd Couple on this stage. You can see the New York apartment underneath and behind all the things, and we play till Sunday for that. And the room is open for theater. We'll have live music all summer, and we are available for rentals. So please, come back. Learn to love our beautiful room with our full bar, and yeah, let's get on with the meeting. Thank you for being here.
Thank you very much, Stephanie. All right, so before we get into our main event of the BART presentation, I do have a president's report that I can go through. I guess the first thing we should talk about has been the main event here in San Jose, has been the election. Given on Tuesday, we've had first of all, from District 3, our very own staff member, Omar Torres, was the clear leader on District 3. Congratulations to him. He'll be in a runoff for the general election in November with Irene Smith for the D3 seat. They're replacing the termed out Raul Perales for that. We also have a city council runoffs in District 7 where an incumbent, Maya Esparza and Biandone face off. District 5, where former Nora Campos is trying to be reelected to her former D5 council seat. She'll be facing Peter Ortiz. In November for the seat held by Magdalena Carrasco, who's termed out. Councilwoman Pam Foley was reelected in District 9, and in District 1, Rosemary Kamai won her seat outright with more than 50% of the vote for the seat in the West San Jose, replacing Vice Mayor Chappie Jones. The main event at the top of this election has been for the mayor's seat, of course. Okay, we have a runoff between Cindy Chavez and Matt Mahon. This election will be more significant perhaps than any other one, or from recent memory, because Measure B also passed. So what that means with Measure B is the mayor elections will be running in conjunction with the presidential elections, hopefully to get more turnout of that. This will mean that the next mayor that comes up could potentially be here for 10 years and not just 8 years. As part of the tradition of the Downtown Association, we wait for the primaries, we wait for the dust to settle at that point. Our next public meetings happening in August will actually have our candidate forum. So it'll be a chance for us to see a little bit of a debate, ask a little bit of question and answers, get to know the candidates a little bit better as we make our decisions coming up in November. Okay. I can also tell you right now in terms of big things coming up, we are in the process of our new CEO selection process right now. So as part of the plan that we established a few years ago, Scott Nees has been designated to be stepping down from his position. Our beloved CEO, Scott Nees, has been designated to be stepping down from his position in conjunction with the mayoral elections. We've hired a search firm, HRS, which actually specializes in downtown placements. And in conjunction with the International Downtown Association, we hired them about 6 months ago, very long 6 months ago, to begin our search. We're on the very final stages of this process. I can say that we actually, it's a very prestigious title, of course. It's a very distinguished organization. We attracted candidates from literally across the country. The distance between some of the final candidates that we had, airport to airport, I measured out 4,309 miles in between which of people that were vying for this position. Okay? We're very much on the home stretch on this. We've been committed to an equitable process for both the candidates and the organization. We've taken input from the board, from the staff, from community leaders. I very much expect that we'll be making an announcement in the next couple of weeks about our new CEO. This is also Scott's final year as the CEO, and I think you should really be taking a victory lap here in recognition of its 34 years of dedication to downtown and the outstanding work that he's done. Okay? When you see him here today, sitting out in the audience, when you see him out in the community, he is not hard to find. Be sure to go ahead, come up and thank him for all the hard work that he's done. I hope that you can mark your calendars for late October. We're settling on either the 22nd or the 29th for a special event we'll be hosting to honor Scott. Microphone good?
Hello, yes, we're just going to get this microphone a little bit closer to you, as the folks online are having a hard time hearing you.
Project my voice here.
Yes. Sorry, quick technical interruption. There we go. It's all right. You need the microphone in the correct position.
I've heard that more than a few times.
There we go.
All right, where was I? Yes, we're giving Scott a proper send-off in late October. We're settling on likely the 22nd for that. It's going to be a roast. It started off as a joke. He's oddly enthused about the prospect. If you want to be at the social event of all of San Jose for this year and probably for the last few years, you got to make your point to be at this event. It'll be a charity event for the Downtown Foundation, something very close to his heart. And we have a few good surprises coming up for that. So I very much hope that you're going to join us for that event. Let's get on to the summer as it's approaching right now. Our downtown event season is up. So after so many pandemic cancellations, it was truly incredible to welcome back the Fanime Convention downtown over Memorial Day weekend, something very near and dear to my heart as a designated anime geek. Okay? Some of our restaurants actually reported record crowds and sales for that weekend. Last weekend, we also in the SoFa district, my district, or one of my districts right there, we had the Sub-Zero Festival. This Sunday, we have the wonderful and popular Viva Calais. Thursday is City Dance. Next Friday is Music in the Park with a fantastic triple bill of reggae artists, legends coming out for that one. Events are back. The next day after that is the Fountain Blues Festivals. The weekend after that is the premiere of Starlight Cinema's family movie series along with the Secret Life of Pets #2. Oh, cool. Okay. And that's just June. Okay. If you type in downtown San Jose into your browser or San Jose downtown, the first site that should come up is sjdowntown.com. Okay. You can get the details of all of our events on that site. And also, I'm an Instagram guy too. If you've seen the wonderful work we've done on Instagram, if you want to get the latest and greatest on that, if you go into your Instagram browser, sj_downtown.com, or sjdowntown, sorry, it's Instagram, we'll give you all that latest and greatest information. Okay? And also don't forget, every Wednesday, 3 to 7, we've moved the farmers market to the SoFa district on the 300 block. We've seen lots of great turnout there. The weather's been perfect for that. The vendors are out there. We want to see you out there too. Having a great time out there. See you there. Now, for the big feature topic of today's meeting, the BART Phase 2. Now, BART Phase 2, the extension from the current end of Berryessa to the city of Santa Clara with 2 subway stations in downtown San Jose. SJDA has supported this BART extension for decades. 3 local sales tax measures, 3 different mayors, and coming up on a 4th mayor. Numerous meetings with VTA, city, county, BART officials, many, many years in different iterations of this massive and complicated project. Okay? We felt that given the recent award by VTA to the tunnel contractor, this was a good time to update our downtown community on exactly where this project is in terms of planning, design, funding, and schedule. We see the news reports about eminent domain proceedings, single bore versus twin bore, different cost estimates from the federals. You know, much of this information has been shared with VTA and the board of directors, but we feel as our job of San Jose Downtown Association is to inform the general public of all of this, okay? So this is our chance to hear, for you, to hear exactly what this project's about and where we're really at. So for this morning, we have Sarah Hermsom? Hersom. We have Sarah Hersom, the project design manager, and Adriano Rothschild, all right, 2 for 2, downtown station coordinator. The VTA's external director of external affairs, Bernice Alanese, thank you much again, will join us remotely for a question and answer session. Thank you for joining us. The stage is yours now.
All right, hi everyone. Is this okay? All right, well, thank you. Let me adjust this. All right, well, thank you for having us this morning to present about VTA's BART Silicon Valley Phase 2 project. Our update today is going to include some key elements of the project along with some of the current and upcoming activities. And, you know, as mentioned, there's been a lot in the news. I'm sure there's a lot of questions, so we'll try to cover what we can in the presentation. And at the end of it, anything that we haven't addressed, we'll cover in some Q&A. So, oh, the clicker. Thank you. All right, so our agenda for today, we'll go over quick overview of the project along with current timeline, some information about the station and tunnel design and construction. We have a couple fly-through videos of the downtown and Diridon stations, along with kind of a short video showing how a tunnel boring machine works for those of you interested. We're also going to be going over some of our plans to reduce and address construction impacts, along with an overview of the Construction Transportation Management Plan and the Business Resource Program. We'll also be talking briefly about the project's plans for both transit-oriented development in the immediate vicinity of the stations, along with transit-oriented communities, which is sort of in the greater station area. And then we'll open it up for Q&A. So for those of you not aware, this project is a 6-mile extension building on the Phase 1 extension, which initially took the Fremont Warm Springs line into city of San Jose. This is of the 6 miles, 5 miles is a single bore tunnel underground, and then there's 1 mile at grade at the terminus of the project. There's 4 stations total, 3 are underground in the city of San Jose, and the end of the line station is at grade in the city of Santa Clara and is co-located with a yard and maintenance facility. This is a large project, actually the largest in the history of Santa Clara County, and will complete the ring of fast and frequent passenger rail service around the bay. This project is also expected to connect people throughout the Bay Area to jobs and other destinations in Santa Clara County, eliminate almost 4 million auto trips every year, which supports climate goals, and result in annual carbon reductions equivalent to a forest the size of Oakland. There's planned activation of the station sites and streets that foster walkability, vibrancy, activity, and also the goal to grow the economy. So, you know, the delivery of this extension is really a partnership between BTA and BART. I think that's sometimes confusing for folks. Santa Clara County is not part of the original BART district, and as such, when this extension was envisioned, it came with the caveat that BTA would need to be the owner and financially responsible entity to bring this extension into the county. So this really has been a partnership between BTA and BART. BTA is the owner and financially responsible party for all design and construction costs. They're also the agency responsible for all the contracting and procurement, and will ultimately retain ownership of the structure. BART, who really is our partner in all of this, is ultimately the owner-maintainer, and we work with them closely, have thus far for the design of the project to ensure that maintenance, operations, and their standards are considered and integrated into the design. So this is an overview of the timeline. This project has been envisioned for a long time and is finally coming to fruition, which is very exciting. We are currently in the planning, engineering, and procurement phase, which is kind of the second column there in purple. We are as part of that focusing on the construction outreach management plan, and also which is comprised of a construction education and outreach plan and a construction transportation management plan, which we'll talk a little bit about today. As we are kind of nearing the end of our preliminary engineering phase, we're in various stages of procurement on all 4 contracts, which I'll talk about next. And although we're kind of nearing the end of preliminary engineering going into final design, there's still, quite a bit of planned engagement with city, BART, other stakeholders before construction really begins. Thus far, the federal government has allocated $425 million to the project. There was an initial announcement by FTA in August of 2019 for $125 million, followed by another $100 million in January of 2021, and there's $200 million in President Biden's proposed budget. So you can see there's a lot of, some pretty significant federal confidence in the project and BTA's, ability to deliver and successfully complete this, significant and largest transportation infrastructure project in the county. We are working with FTA. They issued us you can go to the next slide, a letter of intent last year to enter into an FFGA. There was some conditions attached to that, which we're working through with them right now, and very optimistic that we'll be able to enter into a full funding grant agreement with them next year. So, like I said, there's 4 contract packages that this program is divided into. They're all variations of design build. We call them CPs. CP1 is the project-wide systems contract, and this came to be largely out of some of the experiences on phase 1 and the acknowledgement that there really needs to be a dedicated systems contract. This will be the last contractor on site and really responsible for fully integrating this extension into the BART system overall. CP2 is the largest contract. It's progressive design build. This is where the tunnel, track work, and the station box excavations are included. The third contract is the Newhall Yard and Santa Clara Station at the end of the line. And fourth contract is the CP4 is the 3 underground stations. So CP2 will install the supportive excavation, dig the station boxes, and CP4 essentially does all the structural and architectural fit out for the stations. So in terms of our procurement timeline, we're in active procurement on 3 of the 4 contracts right now. So CP1, we are planning to issue the final, we've released a couple draft RFPs, we're planning to release the final RFP later this summer. CP2, we're the most advanced with this procurement. On May 5th, the VTA board authorized the execution of a contract for the progressive design build contract here with Kiewit Shea Trailer. They're a joint venture. So the initial contract award is for, given this is progressive design build, is for stage 1, which is about 18 months, and will include kind of a focused look at some innovations, kind of an intense value engineering period, along with programming services, some of the initial engineering, along with open book cost estimating and scheduling. So at the end of stage 1, we'll enter into a GMP with this contractor, assuming everything goes well. CP3 is the yard in Santa Clara Station. We've also released the draft RFP to the shortlisted teams on this contract and planning to release the final RFP this summer. And CP4, we've paused slightly to really kind of focus attention on getting CP2 right and be able to absorb, any potential changes in CP4 as that comes. So we are releasing the RFP for that package probably later next year. And I'm going to hand off to Adriano now to cover some of the details of the 2 downtown stations for this project.
Thank you, Sarah. I'm not quite as tall as Gumby, so I need to adjust this here. So the downtown station is really going to be the premier station for the downtown area. It's going to be located between, it's going to have 2 entrances. One entrance will be located between Market and First Street, and the other one between First and Second. Both entrances are currently planned on the north side of Santa Clara Street. From the stations, people will be able to access destinations such as San Jose City Hall, San Jose State University, as well as recreations and businesses in the area, San Pedro, and all of that. So in addition to constructing the stations, VTA is also working closely with the cities to enhance mobility in the area and access to the stations themselves. So on our station that is located on the VTA block, which is bound by Market, First Street, St. John, and Santa Clara, VTA is also envisioning significant development. And so we are planning for a pedestrian paseo or walkway to help improve connectivity in the area and will allow access to the station from the north as well. This is a rendering of the entrance of the station. So as you can see, the plan currently is to extend the sidewalk and on Santa Clara Street and extend a canopy over the sidewalk to really help create a sense of place and lure users into the station. The goal is to really design a contemporary gateway to the modern and multicultural destination that is downtown San Jose. This is a rendering of the interior of the primary head house, the one located between Market and First. As you can see, we have the entrance over on the right of the image and Santa Clara Street. As you enter, you will see this big circular shaft with vertical circulation elements, including escalators, stairs, and elevators. There will be 3 high-speed elevators shown just left of the image, which will provide access to the lower platforms. We've also been working closely with the community and the city to help identify areas and locations for art and are working to better define how that program will be advanced. The second entrance will be a much smaller entrance and will be located between First and Second Street. This is really intended to help provide a better connectivity to the destinations on the east side of downtown San Jose. This entrance will have 4 high-speed elevators that will really connect to the station below. Because of the size constraints, this entrance will not be able to have escalators or stairs, but there will be a second dedicated entrance for emergency access. We now have a short video fly-through of the station to give you a sense of what that station experience might be for a user.
Downtown San Jose BART Station is one of the 4 stations that are part of VTA's BART Silicon Valley Phase 2 project which also includes the 28th Street Little Portugal station to the east of the downtown San Jose station and the Diridon and Santa Clara BART stations to the west of the downtown San Jose BART station. If you're riding BART southbound from the recently opened Bay Area BART station, the 28th Street Little Portugal station will be the next new BART station, and the downtown San Jose station will be the next station after the 28th Street Little Portugal station. This video is a conceptual representation of what a future rider might experience when using VTA's downtown San Jose BART station. As we approach the station's main entrance from Santa Clara Street, we see the station's canopy extending over the sidewalk, clearly indicating that you've reached the station's entrance. Passing through the fare gates, you can see across the primary station building to the entrance on the other side of the station that connects to a paseo that VTA will also provide as part of this project. There are multiple opportunities for art installation within the station. The downtown San Jose BART station is designed to be a contemporary gateway to a modern, multicultural destination that also gives focus to San Jose State students. In the center of the primary station building are two sets of escalators and a bank of elevators. Let's take the escalators down. As we go down, we can see how the station's open design allows for natural light to penetrate down into the station. The depth of the station is comparable to the depth of the Central Subway Chinatown and Union Square Market Street stations in San Francisco. Like all the other stations that are part of VTA's BART Silicon Valley Phase 2 project, the downtown San Jose BART station will have elevators, escalators, and stairs to help more people through the station. The downtown San Jose station will have two entrance buildings. We are currently in the primary entrance building. From the concourse level, you can access both the northbound and southbound platforms. This top concourse level leads to southbound trains towards Santa Clara. As we travel along the concourse, you can see the top of the tunnel. From the downtown San Jose station, you will be able to head west and get to Santa Clara in less than 10 minutes, or go north and beat the rush hour traffic and get to Oakland in a little over an hour. On the other end of the platform is the secondary station entrance and exit building. The secondary station entrance and exit building is to the east of the primary station building and closer to City Hall and San Jose State. This smaller and more space-constrained building will have high-speed elevators that bring us back to the street level. From here, after the quick ride in the high-speed elevators, is roughly a 5-minute walk to San Jose City Hall and less than a 10-minute walk to San Jose State. The downtown San Jose BART station and its accompanying efforts support the continued sustainable growth of an even more vibrant downtown San Jose, while also creating stronger ties between downtown San Jose and the region. People from all around the Bay Area will also be able to access the many job and housing opportunities, cultural centers, educational institutions, and entertainment destinations that downtown San Jose has to offer from this station. That downtown San Jose has to offer from this station.
All right, and if you'd like to watch that video again, we do have that posted online and on VTA's website with a blog describing the process and a little bit more about the station. The next station that we want to focus on today is the Diridon station. This is shown by the purple circle in the image that you see here. The station will be located between Cahill and Montgomery Street on the south side of Santa Clara Street. The station will have entrances facing both Cahill and Montgomery to help provide connectivity and access in all directions, including connection to the future Diridon intermodal station, as well as, which is planned enhancement of the existing Caltrain station. The Diridon station is centered in the Diridon station area plan and will be a part of, will really be a central point for Google's downtown west development. When fully built out, this station will become one of the most important transportation hubs in the Western United States. We are also coordinating very closely with San Jose and Google on improvements to the station area, including access for walking, biking, and transit users. This is a conceptual rendering of the of the Diridon station as seen from Cahill Street. So if you are walking over from the Caltrain station, and you can see the SAP Center out in the back. We have engaged the community on the aesthetics of the station and identified that there was a desire for incorporation of teal and reflecting the San Jose Sharks organization that is very prominent and we're very proud of in the area. There we go. So this is a rendering of the inside of the station as seen from the upper platform. As you can see, this station also has a circular shaft and escalators going back and forth to provide access to the from the surface to the platform levels. Like the downtown station, this will also include stairs and elevators to provide a variety of options for all users. We next have a fly-through of what the user experience might look like at the Diridon station.
This video showcases the current design of VTA's Diridon BART station and provides a conceptual representation of what future riders might experience. The Diridon BART station is one of the 4 stations that are part of VTA's BART Silicon Valley Phase 2 project, which also includes the 28th Street Little Portugal and Downtown San Jose BART stations, which are both to the northeast of VTA's Diridon BART station. The Santa Clara BART station is to the northwest of the VTA's Diridon BART station. If you're riding BART southbound from the recently opened Berryessa BART station, the 28th Street Little Portugal station will be the next BART station, followed by the Downtown San Jose and Diridon BART station. Starting from the north side of the station, just across from Santa Clara Street from the SAP Center, we walk to the eastern entrance of VTA's Diridon BART station, which is along Montgomery Street. As we pass through the far gates, your eyes are drawn to a circular canopy that lets light down into the lower parts of the station. Let's take the escalators down. We can see how the station's open design allows for natural sunlight to penetrate down into the station. The Diridon BART station includes stairs, which can be seen on the right, and high-speed elevators. To help the station integrate into its surroundings, it incorporates teal as its signature color, the color of the San Jose Sharks professional ice hockey team. The Diridon BART station will also be the center of the Diridon Station area in Google's Downtown West development. This area is one of the fastest growing and most important multimodal transportation hubs in the western United States. Here we are on the top concourse level. As we walk into the tunnel, we're now at the top platform. BART trains from this top platform will take you to Santa Clara Station in less than 5 minutes. BART trains from the bottom platform below will take you to Oakland in a little over an hour. VTA's BART Silicon Valley Phase 2 project, including the Diridon BART station, will be a catalyst and flagship for the innovative, equitable, and urban downtown environment that is envisioned and planned for the Diridon Station area.
And just like the downtown video, this one was also recently posted this week, and we encourage you to visit the VTA website to read the blog and view the videos. With that, I'll pass it back to Sarah.
All right. So some of the recent project highlights currently underway. We meet with FTA monthly to review project status and discuss our next steps towards executing the full funding grant agreement. We met with them yesterday, actually. There is, like I mentioned previously, there's an additional $200 million currently allocated in the President's budget for the next fiscal year for this project. Real estate acquisitions are still progressing and negotiations underway to support the early construction activities for this Kiewit Shea Trailer joint venture. We're in a second round of cooperative agreements with the City of San Jose and discussing those. We do have continued ongoing technical coordination with partner agencies and third parties. We're conducting station workshops with Spur, City of San Jose, and BART staff, and I'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute. And then we're also presenting project updates to the VTA BART Working Committee, consisting of Board of Director members from both agencies. So as far as upcoming project activities, I'm going to talk about this a little bit differently than what's shown on the slide, but there's essentially 4 kind of concurrent big things happening, and I think, you know, this may be what some people want to talk about here. So we're at a pretty, you know, pivotal point of the project, and, you know, the reason it's taken a while for VTA to get to the point where we are is because, you know, the agency and BART and partner agencies and stakeholders, we've taken very seriously trying to make sure that we're doing the right thing for this project and continue to do so. So this is kind of the next phase of that, although there's kind of more visibility on what's going on right now. So there's kind of 4 major elements happening right now. So like I mentioned, the tunnel contract was awarded. We're in the middle of kind of an initial 90-day innovations period, we call it, with the contractor, which is looking at, it's essentially a value engineering exercise, but it's just very focused, very fast-paced, and very process-oriented. So there's, you know, we have the benefit now of having a, you know, a very strong contracting team on board, and they have their own ideas about proposed innovations that, you know, many of which are kind of related to, you know, construction means and methods, and, you know, ways that they believe that we can reduce the overall cost of the project and potentially gain some schedule efficiencies, along with reducing some of the kind of risk elements of the project, and, you know, looking at ways that we can minimize construction impacts as well. So that effort is underway, and you know, once we reach some conclusions on that in the next, you know, at this point, kind of 2 months, it'll be presented, you know, publicly to the board and others. Concurrent with that, you know, many are aware that there was a kind of a call for an independent peer review that's looking at both single and twin bore kind of tunneling options for the project. And I realize that sounds sort of counter to the fact that we're moving forward with a contractor that's been awarded a contract for a single bore, you know, tunnel. But I think we view this as an opportunity to really gain confidence from the public that the agency is really doing the right thing. The sort of twin bore, single bore peer reviews have been conducted a number of times over the course of this project and the development, and you know, this is being conducted very independently, but I, you know, I am hopeful that this will just demonstrate and prove, you know, confidence in the path that we're taking right now. BART and VTA and Spur are stakeholders in that process. The scope and kind of the logistics of that peer review are still being defined. There'll be an independent facilitator. But we expect that that process will essentially run concurrently and should be wrapped up about the same time as the innovations period. So third thing that's kind of going on right now is, you know, we've also heard a lot of the feedback from, you know, city, you know, downtown association, you know, other key stakeholders about the station entrance locations. And I know there's been a lot of focus on that as well. So, you know, there's you know, obviously many reasons why we've landed on kind of where we have right now in terms of the station entrance locations. There's a number of constraints downtown, environmentally and otherwise, but we are kind of taking another look at that as well to just, you know, see how we can address the comments, concerns, feedback coming from the public, the board, et cetera, to see how we can improve upon those. So, in addition, so we have some kind of a series of workshops underway with City, Spur, some others, kind of looking at the downtown and Diridon stations in particular to see how we can address the, you know, the concerns and comments that have been raised. Fourth thing that's going on is VTA is in the process of really refining and updating the funding plan. I think everyone's aware that, you know, the costs for this project have gone up somewhat. You know, much of that is really outside the control of the agency and the configuration of the project. The market conditions are really not optimal right now in terms of inflation, labor shortages, supply chain issues, and that's largely what's driven the cost increases. So, we have great support from the GM, CFO, others, and really looking at how we address that and ensure delivery of this program. Next slide. So I think we have a video right now about the TBM. This is the Crossrail project in London, and just kind of gives a quick overview of how a tunnel boring machine works for those of you not familiar.
First part of the TBM's work is the tunneling phase. The earth pressure balance TBM has a cutting wheel which is pressed against the tunnel face by hydraulic cylinders. Inside the cutting wheel, the disc cutters and scraping tool loosen the material. If the earth is unstable, and to stop the tunnel face collapsing or digging too fast, the TBM uses the soil that has already been dug out by the cutting wheel to support the tunnel face. This creates a stable environment for the tunneling to move forward. The tunnel face is continuously monitored by pressure sensors. They check the turning power of the cutting wheel and the screw conveyor, and they also keep track of the material that's been excavated. The material is then taken away on conveyor belts. Once the tunneling phase is done, the cutting wheel and screw conveyor are stopped and the ring building phase starts. A complete tunnel ring consists of several lining segments made of pre-built reinforced concrete. These are made in a special factory above ground. They must match the exact size required and are taken into the tunnel on flatbed rail cars. The concrete segments are fed in by the segment feeder and lifted into place using a vacuum. The hydraulic cylinders are temporarily retracted in order to provide enough space for the new segment. The segments are positioned with millimeter precision and held in place by cylinders before being finally bolted into position. The conical keystone is put in from the front to complete the lining ring. Each individual tunnel ring is built in a slightly conical form. This means that curves can be built along the tunnel route by changing the direction of the cone. The hydraulic cylinders are extended again to secure the segment into position. During all this work, the people and machines are protected by the shield skin from the saturated ground where water is under pressure. All the readings are displayed on monitors in the central control cabin and fed back to the machine operator. Once each section of ring building is completed, the next tunneling phase can start.
All right, so it never ceases to amaze me how amazing this process is. But a little more information about the tunnel boring machine, which we call TBM. It will be custom built by TBM manufacturers, which are largely overseas. This is a pretty niche market, so there's only a few suppliers that can really build a machine, especially the machine of the size and specs that we're talking about here. It'll be built and tested at the manufacturing facility before being disassembled into parts small enough that can be shipped. Once they arrive on site here, they'll be reassembled and tested prior to tunneling. So crews will use at what's shown here is both the launch and receiving portals for typical TBM projects. The launch, if you want to go back one, the launch portal for our project will be at the west portal, which is sort of in the vicinity of the earthquake stadium. What you can see on the left there is sort of a long ramp that's built to, the TBM is hundreds of feet long, probably 300 or 400 feet long. They assemble it on site with, very large gantry cranes, and it'll be launched in a pit, kind of like what's shown on the left. When it completes its 5-mile journey on this project, it will surface at the east portal in a receiving shaft, something like what's shown on the right here. The tunnel is constructed of precast lining segments, as was shown in the video. in the video. They are conveyed through the tunnel and installed by the tunnel boring machine. Once in place, they're grouted, and the tunnel uses the segments to kind of to push off and complete tunneling. There's going to be, of what's shown on the screen here, which is kind of segment storage. We're anticipating there could be, upwards of 30,000 of those segments for this project. So station construction is currently designed. The construction of the stations is going to be somewhat similar to kind of typical building construction, which is one of the huge benefits of this type of tunneling method. Typical twin bore tunneling, which I think we have on the next slide, necessitates, and then I may have you go back after that, necessitates kind of open cut construction typically to build the station boxes. So what's really unique and an opportunity in this single bore design is the ability to locate some of the station facilities within the tunnel and access the tunnel off street, which then kind of equates it to more of a, the construction impacts are more equivalent to what you would see as part of a typical building. So it really significantly reduces the amount of utility relocations necessary, traffic impacts, business impacts, et cetera. And I think the picture here is Miro Towers that was recently constructed across from City Hall. So we anticipate construction impacts will be somewhat similar to that. So these are next slide is some examples of the construction recently underway in LA as part of their various tunneling projects. I think this is Regional Connector here. You can see in the image on the left, after they conduct some of the major excavation work, they install temporary decking on top to minimize the amount of kind of duration that traffic has to be detoured. So, it's still a fairly significant impact, but that's kind of the, for the locations that we will have cut and cover construction on this project, that's the approach that's being used. And that'll be largely minimized to the mid-tunnel facility locations, which I know we haven't talked much about, but there's one at 13th in Santa Clara and one that's on Stockton Avenue. And then I'm going to pass it back over to Adriano to talk about the Construction and Transportation Management Plan and the Business Resource Program.
Thank you, Sarah, and I apologize for the slides back and forth. It seems we have these on a preset timer. So, so in addition to selecting construction methods to really reduce and minimize impacts, VTA has developed several other programs really aimed at how we can minimize or otherwise address impacts. So we've developed a construction outreach management program known as the COMP, which has been included in all of our plans and specifications for each of our contracts. The construction outreach management plan includes 3 major elements: the CEOP, or the Construction Outreach Education Plan. This is how we will coordinate. This sets the framework for how we will communicate and coordinate with the public and stakeholders. The Construction Transportation Management Plan, or the CTMP, really sets forth how we are going to ensure that access through the area, through the downtown, is maintained, and that we minimize impacts to access for businesses, residents, and visitors. And there's also an Emergency Services Coordination Plan, which is really to ensure that we are coordinating closely with emergency services in the area to not impact their response times. Today, we really want to focus on the Construction Transportation Management Plan, as well as a little bit about the Business Resource Program, which is an element of the Construction Outreach Plan. There we go. Oh. So the The CTMP was developed largely in response to the comments we received as part of our environmental process. We've received over 160 comments from the public and stakeholders, specifically about access during construction. So in 2019, we actually completed over 50 surveys to businesses and other institutions along the corridor to really get a sense of what their access needs are. Those were really used to help inform the CTMP. Since since all of our contracts are design build, there's a certain element of unknown regarding construction methodologies, and we really don't want to dictate or restrict how the contractors can do their work. So what we've been working with the city on over the past years is really developing a framework, what we call the draft CTMP, which really sets forth the elements that are required and how the contractor is expected to coordinate and advance the process. Once the contractors are brought on board, they will develop contract-specific CTMPs for each of their project areas. And throughout that process, we really intend to collaborate closely with the cities and stakeholders to ensure that everyone has an opportunity to review, provide input, as well as an opportunity to state preferences on construction means and methods within what is feasible for the contractor. The business resource program update is another element that I briefly mentioned. The focus is really to assist small businesses during construction. So the business resource plan is being developed with input from the Small Business Task Force, which has been meeting a couple times a year for the past few years. The report itself is being developed by JCL, or JC Lacey and JCL Consulting Group. We anticipate a draft report will be available in late summer, early fall. JCL was hired largely due to their expertise in developing these types of plans for transit agencies, specifically most recently in LA Metro. So the BRP, the Business Resource Program, really was informed by case studies, seeing how construction and impacts were throughout the United States. Again, recognizing that a lot of our attempt at construction methodology is trying to reduce and minimize those impacts. We've also interviewed business resource providers, surveyed businesses in the project area, and consulted with other transit agencies. As mentioned, VTAs does have a small business task force that meets to help guide and inform this. While the plan is still under development, we do know that While the plan is still under development, we do know that there are 4 major elements that will be included. The first element is signage and wayfinding, really making sure that users in the area are able to access where they need to. We also have a VTA-sponsored Shop Local marketing campaign that is envisioned as part of this program. So that might include customer-facing websites, business directories, newsletter, coupon promotions, social media promotion, web banners, and other types of advertisement. All of these would be tailored specifically for the location and community in the area. The Business Resource Program will also include programs for business development. And so what we've heard is that there's a desire for us, VTA, to partner with well-established business service providers and community-based organizations. And the intent of these programs is to really provide one-on-one technical support and assistance to businesses throughout construction of the project. Lastly, the Business Resource Program will be looking at the potential for additional financial resources. That's something that will be evaluated in more depth as we know more about the details of construction impacts. So, want to just briefly talk a little bit about the engagement and outreach that we do as part of this project. We do have regular community working group meetings. These are meetings for the 3 different project areas. We have a community working group in the 28th Street Little Portugal area. We have one for the downtown Dearborn area and one for the Santa Clara area. These meet quarterly and sometimes even more often. So we have a current plan for a July meeting in addition to our September and November meetings. We are also planning for a summer community social in August 27th of this year. So we hope to see all of you there. Really looking to get to know you and provide an opportunity for maybe more informal and just talk about the project. So in addition to community working groups, we are also tabling at events. We develop tailored group presentations for downtown organizations, neighborhood associations, things like that, and are also serving along the alignment to really ensure that we have an understanding of how the community wants to be communicated with. Yeah. So wanted to take a little bit of time to also talk about transit-oriented development in the area. You know, VTA's BART Phase 2 project really provides an extraordinary opportunity to sustainably organize the growth that is envisioned in Santa Clara County around the BART project. VTA conducted a transit-oriented communities study, which was completed in early 2020, and looked at the 28th Street, downtown, and Santa Clara stations to help identify strategies that the cities can implement to really help advance and facilitate the type of growth that we would like to see in the area. In the downtown and Dearborn station specifically, there are at least 40 million square feet of new development that are envisioned by 2040, much more beyond that. And there are about 60 million square feet of development that could be seen by 2040 along the entire alignment. As I mentioned earlier, VTA's TOD program has several goals, one of which is obviously to increase transit ridership, but we also want to leverage the projects to catalyze and create equitable transit-oriented communities that provide a place for all people to live, shop, work, and play. If you're interested in learning more about transit-oriented communities, I encourage you to look at VTA's website. We have a transit-oriented communities page where our playbooks are also posted online. VTA intends to advance their program goals specifically by focusing on VTA-owned properties near the transit stations, and then also collaborating closely with the cities and adjacent property owners and developers to really create a broader community around the stations rather than beyond single developments. The downtown block where Santa Clara's station will be located is being looked at for significant redevelopment. VTA owns most of the block shown in this conceptual rendering here, and is partnered with adjacent developers to develop a design development framework to guide what TOD or transit-oriented development may look like and how we can get to there. So the DDF is also posted and available online, and if you're interested in seeing that, I encourage you to look that up on the VTA website. The Downtown Association was a key stakeholder in the development of the DDF, which capitalized on the transformational opportunities created by the BART program. VTA continues to collaborate with adjacent property owners to advance TOD in the downtown San Jose station block, and intends to release a request for qualifications for a developer in the coming months. At the Dearborn station area, there we go. At the Diridon Station area, as mentioned earlier, the station is going to really be in the center of Google's downtown west. And so VTA has been partnering with Google to work together as a private-public partnership. A memorandum of understanding was established between the two agencies to progress the development as a separate VTA project, and also to address other other real estate related transactions. Overall, BART Phase 2 project and its accompanying efforts support the continued sustainable growth of an even more vibrant San Jose, while also creating stronger ties between the downtown and Diridon areas. If you'd like to learn more about the project, I encourage you to please visit our website, follow us on Facebook and Twitter, as well as email any questions you may have to VTABART@VTABSV. That will go to the external affairs team, and we'll make sure to get back to you as quickly as possible. In addition to our website and email blasts, and as we've mentioned before, we do present monthly updates to the VTA board meetings, which are open to the public and available online the first Thursday of every month, except for July, I believe. We're taking a break then. And VTA is also working to develop a VTA, or a My VTA SMS alert, which we intend to use and leverage as that's available and as we enter into construction, to really be able to communicate with everyone along the alignment. So that is our presentation. Thank you so much for your time, and we are happy to take any questions you may have. I believe we'll have Gumby come on up here.
I have a couple of questions to get through, so we'll go in rapid order. But the first thing I think I wanted to ask, if you can describe the current plans for the integration of BART with the other transit options in Diridon Station, Caltrain, light rail, and high-speed rail specifically.
Yes, that's a great question. I can take a stab at it. Sarah, please chime in if there's anything else. We are working very closely with the DISC partner agencies, the Diridon Intermodal Station Concept, which envisions a much grander station in the future. Currently, the DISC vision includes an entrance fronting Cahill, which will be just a few hundred feet from the entrance to our station. The project is also looking at the feasibility of including a potential knockout panel for a more direct connection to that future station when that is built.
Thank you. Another one, either one of you can confront this one. Going back to the independent peer review between VTA and BART, can you describe a little bit more about that process, if it's jointly managed between VTA and BART, and specifically, are you considering any new alternatives such as mine twin bore approach rather than just the cut and cover?
So I don't know if this is on anymore. That's okay. Okay, thanks. So the independent peer review is going to be facilitated by a truly independent agency until that's finalized. I am going to stay mum on that, but BART, VTA, Spur, others will be key stakeholders in that process. I don't want to say they're going to actively manage it since it's supposed to be independent. They will be looking at both twin and single. They may be looking at mine stations, although I will, this keeps coming up over and over, but I know mine stations have been successfully implemented on other projects, for good reason. There's a lot of benefits to doing that, but I think what's unique about this area and the geology and soil conditions here is that there's a very high water table. It's less than 10 feet from the surface. We have saturated soft soils, and it makes it very non-conducive to mining, which is why it's been really limited on this project. In order to implement any mined facilities on the project, it necessitates quite a bit of ground improvement, which is typically done from the surface. And once that jet grouting, which is a very messy process, is performed, the construction impacts are probably fairly similar to what it would be to do cut and cover. Not to mention the fact that it's a much riskier process, and we don't actually anticipate it would save any money. So I know this keeps coming up, but that's kind of, it's been studied 3 or 4 times over the years, and that's kind of the conclusion that continues to be reached. So the process for the peer review is still kind of being finalized. So, you know, that may be something that comes up, and I think there's going to be a wealth of materials that we'll provide to that panel.
Great. Kind of a follow-up question to that. The selection of KST for the enormous tunnel and track work contract included the word innovations the contractor has proposed for their portion of the project. What are some examples of the innovations coming?
I wish I could tell you, but I cannot say yet. But I will say it's mostly, you know, a lot of it is means and methods related. And I will say the benefit to having a contractor on board now is, you know, they're looking at ways to construct this and kind of what's important in terms of minimizing risk, maximizing efficiency, simplifying construction in maybe a different lens that was looked at previously. And we have a really strong contracting team, and it's been great working with them thus far. We just gave them a limited notice to proceed this week, which was a huge milestone for the project. So I'd say it's mostly means and methods, you know, ideas that they have about how to better integrate TOD. I know that's been a big one. And, you know, once we get through, you know, keep in mind that this is all innovations within the scope of what they are contracted to build. So just the tunnel and the station box excavations, which is why there's kind of a parallel effort to work with the city and others to really refine and improve station access, since that's not technically part of the KST's contract.
Thank you. This might be yours. There's questions coming in from online more about specifically about the stations. If you can tell us about the proposed or the possibility of integration between vendors, small businesses, and the art in the stations.
Yeah, that's a great question. So transit-oriented development is envisioned to be integrated with the stations, and as part of that, there is the goal to include retail at ground levels to really help activate the streets and really bring a sense of life, grow the sense of life in the area. I know that at Santa Clara Station there may be an opportunity for some kiosks within the station itself, but aside from that, BART is really dictates what can and cannot be within the paid area itself. Again, we're working very closely to make sure that TOD is closely integrated at all of our stations. And in addition to retail and vendors, we're also looking at potential for bike rooms and things like that to be integrated in there.
Great, which brought me to one of the other online questions, the consideration for bike commuters.
I am a bike commuter myself, so that is very much a big part of what I personally think about, making sure that we take into consideration existing facilities. San Jose has done a wonderful job at adding bike lanes to the downtown, and so really looking to integrate closely with those. The transit-oriented communities study also looked at that on a little bit grander scale, making sure that connectivity and facilities don't end just where our project ends, but that we connect to and fill the gaps that may be out there still.
Okay, thank you very much. We're running very late in time, but I found that this was very informative, so I want to thank you both for coming out here and giving us more information about this huge upcoming project, obviously, and the information for us to be able to find out, check out the videos, and get more input. Can you just repeat that one more time for us, or maybe put that slide up again?
Yes, we encourage you to visit vta.org/BART. But also email us with any specific questions you may have at vtabart@vtabsv.com. Great.
Thank you so much. With that, it is 9:30. I know that we're all busy. We have the ability to get more information out of there. I'm going to call an adjournment to this meeting. Thank you so much for participating here. Thank you so much for online.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for your presentation. And yeah, we're taking July off. We will see you at the next public board meeting. Will be our candidate forum, so you absolutely do not want to miss that. Thank you so much.